Welcome to the Light Up podcast. I am your host, Amy Wilkinson. I'm an intuitive guide and soul mentor. And through this podcast, you will receive conscious conversations, powerful downloads, and soul-stirring activations that will both support and inspire you to tap into your intuition, follow that higher calling, and live a life aligned with your soul. Because you are here to co-create a life rich in abundance, freedom, and deep joy, and to unleash who you truly came here to be. And we're here to help you discover how to access that. So let's dive on in and light up. Hello, beautiful, abundant beings. Welcome back to Light Up Podcast. I am so happy that you are here and that you have chosen to tune into this episode because it is one all about love, the vibration of love. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Sierra Mercier, who is a former professional figure skater. She has the most incredible story. She is also an actor, a florist. She's a published author, and she shares her book, How to Attract Your Cosmic Love Partner. She shares her story and what it took for her to arrive into this place where she was able to really consciously call in this love. And in the episode, she offers a lot of wisdom, advice, tools that supports you to ultimately become this receiver, this infinite receiver of love. Tap into the love vibration, whether that is with a vision to attract in your own cosmic love partner, whether that is to attract in abundance, to improve your own relationship with love within yourself, the self-love piece and value. I mean, there's something for everyone here. And I love Sierra. She's such a bright spark, and you're just going to really enjoy hearing what she has to share, feeling her vibration, and hearing her story, which is profound and deeply impactful. So I'm going to hand over to this episode. I really hope you enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow button or the subscribe button on whatever platform that you are on. And if this episode strikes a chord in you, I would love for you to share it. Share it with someone that you love, someone that you care about who would benefit from this episode. Okay, let's dive on in. All right, so diving straight in, welcome, Sierra. We were just talking about how good it is to finally connect. It's been a bit of a long time coming, and I've been really looking forward to this conversation because I feel like you have some magic to share from the connections that we've had already, which have only been a little bit here and there. My sense is that you are, when I was tuning in, I always do a little bit of a tune in before the podcast, and I just saw these like flowers all around you. And I had like Archangel Jophiel come in, who's like the angel of radiance and love. And it was funny, I had a little chuckle because we're going to get into talking about your book today. But it was all about this love vibration and this joy vibration. And I just feel like you elude that. You are just the epitome of that. So it's delightful to have you in front of me now. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, that's like music to my ears. Thank you. And actually my mom is a florist, so I literally grew up in a flower basket under the design table. I've been surrounded by flowers my entire life. I'm a floral designer myself, so
Oh my
the fact that
God.
you tuned into these flowers, like, yep, that's me.
That is so you. I love that. I just saw this image of, I don't know if you'd seen that photographer, designer, Anne Geddes. Maybe it's from Australia, so you
Oh,
might not be aware
yes.
of it.
No, I know Ann Geddes.
Do you know Anne Geddes, right? And she would put
Yes.
the babies in with all of the flowers all around, and it's so gorgeous. That is you. I love that you grew up in a flower basket. Incredible. And speaking of this, I was looking into a little bit about where you've come from. I mean, you have such an incredible past as a figure skater, professional figure skater. And then, floral designer as well. Did you get into that as well with your mum and part of
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
And an actor, and now a mother, which I'm sure is your most cherished role out of them all. and a published author, and we're going to get into your book. And I just want to start with, I mean, I know how our past prepares us for our destiny and how we're being prepared all of the time through the soul lessons that, we've perhaps signed up for. And I'm really curious to know, because you've written this beautiful book, How to Attract Your Cosmic Love Partner. And I know that didn't just come out of thin air, and you've been on a journey that's taken you to that. Can you share a little bit more about what brought you here and to this place where this book came through you, no doubt?
Oh, okay. It's a big question, but I'll do my best. Something that came up for me this morning was this Buddhist quote or concept that we voluntarily assume the appropriate karma. And what that means is that we sign up. We say, I'm gonna challenge this life financial karma. I'm gonna challenge relationship karma. I'm gonna challenge family karma, health karma. So we nothing happens by accident. It's all preparing us, like you said, for ultimately our greatest evolvement. And in Buddhism, we call it our human revolution. It's like we can, through these karmic challenges that we incarnate with or that we sign up for, voluntarily assume, those are actually the fuel, the logs that we add to our fire that help us really reveal our mission. Your karma is your mission is another phrase that we use a lot. And to be honest, that phrase I've always kind of not really quite understood it. I understand it in theory, but I didn't know quite how it applied to my life until much more recently when this book about love came out and my love story in general. So I I feel like I was born as this pure loving. I think all children are born as pure love. They come in no matter what is going on in their parents' lives or how their parents treat them. Kids still just want to give so much unconditional love. They still love their parents no matter what, even if things hurt. We're still there to love. And I feel like that was me for sure. And I've loved the littlest creatures since the time I was young. I was that kid that was out there saving the drowning earthworms in puddles after a rainstorm. And so that's really the essence of my soul. And I go back to those memories to remind myself of who I am. But I definitely had an arc to my story where I rejected that loving part of myself, that loving nature, and it got clouded by lots of anger and darkness in my home and family life. But then also, you mentioned I'm a figure skater, so I left home at 16 and I moved to a training center to pursue my dreams of going to the Olympics. And I faced injuries that were so painful, I would literally cry myself to sleep, and I would take the maximum amount of over-the-counter painkillers before every practice. And so at a point I was like overdosing on these painkillers just to be able to skate. And I was living with a family that was just an awful situation. I had no privacy. And around that time, my figure skating coach, he crossed the line physically and sexually with me. And I was a minor, and it was this very strange power dynamic of like, he tells me what to do every single day on the ice, and now he's telling me to, take my clothes off, and like I'm resisting, but he is forcing, so, and I'm 9 years younger than him. He's like this older man, powerful man. And so that incident was kind of what I like to say was the catalyst for me to really start changing my karma, because after I got out of that situation and I ended up having an injury that ended my competitive skating career, I moved away. I moved to Utah. I was living in California, but I moved to Utah. And that's around the time when Nichiren Buddhism came into my life. And it's the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is the name of your highest self. It's the frequency and vibration of enlightenment. And so we believe that every single individual is a Buddha. And by chanting this mantra, you are tapping into your own Buddhahood, your own Buddha nature. And my coach wasn't the only romantic, you could say, relationship that involved a man taking advantage of me or abusing me, hurting me in some way, physically, sexually. And so this practice is all about self-reflection. And rather than looking outside of ourselves and feeling like we're a victim of the bad things that have happened to us, we take responsibility for our karma and we say, what is this reflecting about my own inner world? And so when I first started this practice, my relationships is what I reflected back to myself. I said, why do I attract men that don't value me? And I was like, do I value myself? And I realized, wow, maybe I don't really even value myself. And so I went on this journey to do that, to understand and recognize and believe in my own inherent value as a woman. And through that process, I was able to get to this place where I was like, oh my gosh, whoever ends up with me is going to be the luckiest man alive. Because I knew how much, back to that little girl that saved the earthworms, like I have so much love to give. Someone's going to be the lucky recipient of that. And I have so much to offer. And kind of like you were talking about, our lives prepare us. I lived with a Thai family at one point. I lived with a Filipino family, and I learned how to cook different cuisines from these families. And so I was like, I can offer that in a relationship too. And just started to think about all these things that make me a really valuable person in relationship, and also for myself to recognize and to love myself more. And I feel like, so Renge in Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is the lotus flower. And the lotus flower is the symbol of the law of cause and effect, because the lotus is the only flower that seeds and blooms at the same time. It's like it bears its seed and it blooms simultaneously. And so the law of cause and effect is that anything you think, say, or do has an effect, which is a cause, has an effect attached to it. And the moment you make a cause, the effect is immediately, simultaneously created in the universe. You don't meet that effect right away necessarily. It really depends on your karma and just your how quickly you want to grow. But the cause for me to awaken to the true inherent value of my life created the effect of me drawing in the type of partner that would mirror that back, that would value me back.
Yeah.
And so I have this crazy mystic love story. That could be a podcast episode in itself, but in a nutshell, I moved to Los Angeles. My living situation fell through the day that I arrived. 2 days later, I found a roommate ad on Craigslist. I answered the ad. I came to the apartment. It was this young man. He was renting out his room. We hit it off. He invited me to be his new roommate. And I moved in a couple weeks later, and during those 2 weeks, we just got to know each other as friends. And then by the time I moved in, I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of have feelings for this man. And uh, ultimately, we ended up falling in love
Mm.
only a month after I had moved in. And the kind of love that set off what we call a love explosion in the universe. It was New Year's Eve, and he told me he loved me, and I told him I loved him too, and we literally felt this energetic explosion just go off
Mm.
in our lives, and it was reflected in our environment. Even we were at this concert where it was shoulder to shoulder people, and we created this force field where we had just this bubble around us. It was like people couldn't even penetrate this force field of love around us. And the following day was New Year's Day. I don't remember what initiated it, but I just lost total control emotionally and ended up sobbing for 8 hours straight. Like, like, that kind of depth of sobbing. And it was like this simultaneous sadness that we had been apart for so many lifetimes, but it was also this simultaneous celebration of I found you again, and that phrase was just running over and over. I found you again. I found you again. And it was like I could see our souls out in the cosmos, like reuniting and coming together, and this whole portal of love and what love is and what love can do opened and came flooding in. And 9 months later, we got engaged. And then a few months after that, we entered this contest to win an all expenses paid dream wedding worth $100,000. One lucky couple would win this wedding in Bryant Park in New York City on Valentine's Day. And spoiler alert, we entered this contest and we won this wedding. And it was like, not only did the universe like throw us together so fast, but it was like, and now you're going to get married. Like, let's not waste some time here. And so we were married just over a year after we met. And on the day that everyone celebrates love, and mystically, the venue that they had selected, Bryant Park, has an ice skating rink in it every winter. And so I got to give a skating performance at our wedding. Like, it was honestly the highlight of my career. Like,
Oh my
unbelievable.
God. Oh my God. Can I just say, like, wow. I feel like so much just in this time that you've spoken. I've been taking I've been taken into like the depths of emotion and then like the highs and whew, I just need a moment to process all of that. So, so incredible. I want to ask, when this happened and you remembered, really, right? It's this path of remembering when you said that you remembered your value. You came
Mm.
back into remembrance of who you are at your core, which is love, right? The love essence. How old were you when this journey was happening? Was this in your 20s?
Yeah, it was between the ages of 22 and 25.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
Really
And
young.
yeah, yeah, having been through what you went through and to be able to have, and I guess, your Buddhist teaching helps you with this, to be able to have that level of awareness and self-reflection at such a young age is immense. And to really and then that piece of taking responsibility, it kind of reminds me a bit of Ho'oponopono, the practice, the
Mm.
Hawaiian practice, where we acknowledge our part in the co-creating, because whenever we are in relationship to something or someone, we are actively creating and participating in that, whether that's something that our soul, as you said, our soul has signed up for to help us learn and remember. And so it reminds me of that, and clearing out of our field, right? The karma or whatever it is that's attracted that in. So how important for you, and then you going on this incredible expansive journey of finding your cosmic love match. And I want to speak to that thing in a minute. How important is this piece around the work that you needed to do? I mean, you described it in like a couple of minutes, but I know that it would have been so much more there for those who are listening who are at this point of really wanting to understand how to meet, how to attract someone in on this deeper level, right? So beyond, maybe beyond this lifetime, beyond the physical. You guys have obviously been together in previous lifetimes as well. How important is this piece of self-love and value? How important is this inner work piece of recognizing who you are before doing anything else? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's such a great question because it's paramount. It's the portal opener. We we can't truly receive the love that we deserve unless we recognize how worthy and deserving we are of it, and feel that about ourselves. And look, self-love is a lifelong journey. I'm still working on it. I'm still peeling back the layers of how deeply can I love myself? And what does self-love mean at this point in my life? Like it's ever changing and growing. But as far as attracting your cosmic love partner, your soulmate, your twin flame, whatever you want to call it, we really have to start with how much we value ourselves. And what I feel like helps me understand that is to think about how much love am I capable of giving? Like I feel like I'm capable of giving a lot of love. I had an experience when I was 17, and I really feel like this was kind of my first spiritual awakening, if you will, but I was it was like the darkest time of my life. I was living away from home and living with this Filipino family I said earlier that I didn't really have any privacy with. I had these injuries. I was also battling anorexia and bulimia, and I didn't have a good relationship with my parents at the time, who, were in another state. And that was also around the time when my coach took advantage of me. And just like so many things were um, against me, it felt like at the time. And so I was sitting in my room one day and I was just thinking to myself, okay, I know what I don't like about my life. What do I like? And in that moment, I decided I really like the view from my room because it just looked out into the forest. And so I just meditated on this beautiful view of the forest. I saw fluffy gray squirrels chasing each other and beautiful blue jays flying through the trees, and the fog that day was really thick and moving in slowly, and it was making the pine needles wet and drip with glistening dew. And it was in that moment that I felt a breath of fresh air enter my body. And I was calling myself an atheist at the time. I just did not believe in anything at all. And I decided in that moment I didn't believe in heaven or hell, that we experience the best of things and the worst of things in life, and that it's here right now. And that realization ultimately led me to Nichiren Buddhism 5 years later, because I was shown what's called the 10 worlds, and the 10 worlds are 10 different states of being that we can experience at any given point throughout the day. And heaven and hell were two of these 10 worlds. And so it was that same concept. And, for me, it was just like other people believe that and there's a practice around it. So I just really felt like I think this is for me. And that's why I went down that rabbit hole. But why I'm sharing the story is because looking back at my life from that moment forward, I saw how the cause to love one thing, which was the view in my room, ultimately grew a love that was so big that it reached the vastness of the cosmos. And that's how simple it can be, is to just love one thing first, something easy.
Mm.
Like we can just decide, like for me, nature and animals are so easy to love. So how much love can you pour into the things that are really easy? And it might just start with taking a walk around your neighborhood and really taking in the trees or the flowers or somebody's dog or your own animal, and sitting in or walking, whatever, and just being in total presence of this other magnificent
Mm.
being. And for me, the practice of doing that is what, and the practice means those are all causes you're making. Acknowledging the beauty in a flower is a cause and an energetic offering of love to this other being. And that cause that you make is going to have an effect. And so I really believe that the more love you give, the more you receive. And I
Mm.
had this this realization recently. I was doing a meditation and I was thinking about reception, cell reception and television reception, that there's these waves that connect us and that allow us to cast out but also receive.
Mm.
And that it really takes the act of casting out first in order to receive. Like we can't just sit there and be like, I really desire and want love in my life, and then expect it to show up. It's like you have to give that, you have to be that in order to open the channel to receive it.
Mm. Mm.
And so that's a big part of it for me, that really being the love to receive the love. And the more love that you give out is going to reflect back in your own life. Like you're going to love yourself more too. You're going to feel like a more loving being, so much so that I think about it like a fountain, that if you're just bubbling over, overflowing with love, then it's like it never ends. There's so
Mm.
much that it overflows, and you become so whole and full, that that's also what is really attractive to
Mm.
a partner. They're going to sense from you like, wow, here's this person that is just so full and whole and complete almost by themselves. Now I can just add to them rather than like feeling like they need me to
I
complete them.
love that. I love that too, because it's not coming from any place of lack. And I think that that is really important. I feel like what you're speaking to is this rediscovering of our inherent wholeness and who we are, and the love that we are. And you've just articulated that so beautifully. And I feel like what you mentioned around the receptivity, because, right, there might be people out there thinking, well, all I'm doing is giving love. I'm just giving love. And I think that as women, we're very good at doing this. We can be very good in the giving piece, in the giving out to our friends and our community and our children and our family and our work. But we end up feeling depleted inside. So, how important is this receiving and channeling it into yourself? And I guess you can share, what that looks like for you in your practice around receiving love and taking care of yourself, because I feel like it's that piece that really gets overlooked for many on this journey. I'm doing all the things, I'm giving all the love out there, I'm looking out, and it's not so much this doing piece, as you said. It's very much about who are you being and how can you be in that love vibration. And I love that you said around amplifying the gratitude that you might feel for even things that are really simplistic in your life, right? Like we all can tap into that.
can't we? Like we've always got something to feel grateful for and to appreciate the way that we're receiving love. But what are some things that we can start to do to really widen that capacity for us to be receptive to that as well? Because that seems like it's a really big piece in this attraction.
Hmm. Thank you so much for adding in the gratitude piece to this, because gratitude is such a powerful force. And what I've come to realize is that we are swimming and living in gratitude at all times, that
Mm.
life itself is an expression of gratitude. Life itself is an expression of love. Like, I just can't look out my window at the trees and the flowers and the birds and the bees and this it's like a party popper, you pull the string and the confetti blows out. It's like when I look at life and in all different forms that it's taken on and manifested. I like, have you looked at a tiger recently? Like, that's just pure magic that
Mm.
that being exists, or an octopus. So nature to me just shows off this brilliant hooray celebration of beauty, and I feel like I tapped into how it's also just so like enmeshed in with this feeling or this power or this energy of gratitude. And anytime that I am ever feeling lack or uh, just down, when I go pick up gratitude, that is the thing that like really pulls me back.
Yeah.
And I want to speak to this piece about women especially feeling kind of depleted, like I'm giving all this love out. But if we are giving so much of ourselves that we are depleting ourselves, then we're really not loving ourselves, first of all. And also, I think that the intention might be off a little bit. And intention is everything. And so, are you giving love? Like, if you're giving love at the expense of your own life, then you're just not honoring your life. We can't really love someone else until we learn how to love ourselves. Because I feel like what happens is if we're living in that state where we're just ignoring ourselves and we feel like we have to take care of and give love to everything else but ourselves, then when our environment doesn't mirror it back to us, isn't giving us the love back, it's really easy for us to get caught up in the world of complaint and in the world of lack, like you're talking about, and
Yeah.
feeling like, oh, my partner's not doing this for me, or they didn't support me or recognize or appreciate me for that. And then we're seeing things that we don't have rather than the things that we have, which is why gratitude is the healer in those moments, because you're like, oh, actually, look at how abundant I am. And I have a little mantra that uh, that has saved me many times in this place, and has also just benefited my life in so many ways. But it's everything my eyes fall upon is a symbol of my abundance. And if you really look at that or feel that in your life, like, okay, I'm sitting at my desk right here, my coffee cup. If I look at my coffee cup and I believe that it's a symbol of my abundance, or the trees outside my window is a symbol of my abundance, the chair that I'm sitting on, the clothes that I'm wearing, it's like everything that you can perceive with your Sight, the fact that you have sight alone is a symbol of your abundance. When you look at life like that, you're like, oh my God, I am so abundant.
I love this so much. It's just such a beautiful reminder that we are all so abundant, right?
So
It's like
abundant.
we narrow our focus so much to think that it needs to look like X, Y, and Z. And unless I've got those things, I'm not going to feel that. And I know for you and I mean, we're both really conscious co-creators and conscious manifestors. And to reverse engineer this process by looking at, can you feel that now? Can you feel that abundance? Can you feel that love now? Just as you say, by appreciating and acknowledging what is there that's alive and that's radiant and abundant, and love in you and around you is such a pivotal gateway to then being able to open up to more of that, because the universe just goes, oh, yeah, here's more, right?
Yes, completely. And I
Yeah.
just want to offer another piece of the puzzle that I've discovered when it comes to attracting true love is this goes back to my early 20s when I first started my Buddhist practice, and this this little sweet old Japanese woman just kind of took me under her wing, and she would invite me over and she'd make Japanese food for me and teach me how to chant and would just kind of take care of me. And she said, "You have to chant for your Kosen Rufu partner." And I'm like, my what? Kosen Rufu partner. So Kosen Rufu is the term that we use for world peace. It encompasses world peace. It's like world peace through the happiness of every single individual. And so I'm like 22, 23, chanting for my Kosen Rufu partner, but not even really grasping what that means. And it wasn't until uh, till I got married, and we got married within like a year of meeting each other, so it was very fast. And so, but early on in my marriage, and just recognizing what the two of us can do together, what the medicine that we co-create, that we create for the world around us because we are together now. And that's when I understood what it means to call in your world peace partner. And so doing that, I think, adds another layer of intention to why do you want to call in your soulmate or your cosmic love partner, your twin flame. It's not just for you to be happy, right? I mean, sure, yes, it is for you to be happy, but the true power behind the two of you coming together is that the two of you together make the world a better place. The two of you together are more powerful and create an even bigger force of love in the world that benefits not just you, but it benefits the world around you. It benefits your friends, it benefits your family, and then it spills out into the collective. So really being so intentional about why it is that you want to call in love, that it's so that the world has more love in it. The world can receive even more healing because the two of you are together. That is another powerful way to manifest your soulmate or cosmic love partner.
I love that. I've never heard of it like that, right? Like, I believe we have soul contract relationships,
Yeah,
and, and we've had them over, say, different lifetimes and made choices to come in and incarnate at this time. So, but I've never heard it in that way, in terms of, I guess, the healing that you can both offer, that's going to come through when you finally make that reunion, when you finally come together. And I just think that that is so potent and so powerful. So let's speak to this piece around the cosmic love partner. right? Because this is the title of your book, and you mentioned about there being this like fireworks that went off, right? But bigger than that, right? Just like across the galaxies, right? It's like
Love
you can imagine
explosion.
your love explosion. That's it. You can imagine your soul teams just going like, "Great, finally, here is that reunion." Can you speak to that a little bit more around where this comes into play about, our soul contract relationships, perhaps, or how we can tap in on that deeper level to understanding and knowing that perhaps there are these relationships that we've chosen. I mean, and we choose the ones that aren't, that challenge us as well, but the ones that are, as you speak of, that are here for deep soul purpose and healing. I mean, do you believe that we all have those, or that, some of us choose that in this lifetime? Where do you sit with that?
Yeah, I think that for me, what I believe is that I totally agree, we have soul contracts. And I believe that every single one of us has a cosmic love partner. But I think that we also have multiple soulmates. So I guess I lean a little more toward the cosmic love partner being more similar to what people call a twin flame, where it's like this deeper connection. But I also believe that there are some lifetimes where we don't get to be with that person, but we might find soulmates, and those relationships are just as powerful and meaningful. And it just depends on the contract that you sign. What are you signing up for? And what are you signing up to help this other person with their journey? Because we're all a team. We're all here to help each other, lift each other up, help one another evolve consciously lifetime after lifetime, in order for the collective consciousness to evolve lifetime after lifetime. And so, yeah, there's going to be some lifetimes where you end up in that lifetime with a soulmate. That doesn't make that that relationship any less powerful or valuable by any means. But after after having the experience that I had, I just feel like the cosmic love partner, or the twin flame, if you will. There's a lot of information about twin flames out there, and I don't really resonate with some of it. That there's like a lot of conflict, and in my experience, our relationship has been so easy, and it should be easy. Love should be easy. It shouldn't be challenging and difficult and hard, and like, re-examine if things are challenging and difficult, because if you're forcing yourself to stay in a relationship that's challenging and difficult because you believe that this person is your twin flame, like, it goes back to the I'm giving love to everybody else, but I'm not feeling like I'm feeling depleted. It's we're not honoring ourselves. And so I feel like when it's right, and I've definitely met soulmates, and I've fallen in love with soulmates, and I've been ripped apart and had my heart ripped out of my chest and stomped on by a soulmate. Like, that love is real. That love is deep and powerful, and so it is excruciating when it ends. But what I've come to learn through those experiences is, it's kind of like corny and simple, but if I felt that way and this person is not the one, then like, what must the one make me feel like? Always looking forward and ahead rather than back. Like, oh, I lost the love of my life. But it's like, well, if that's not the love of your life, then the love of your life is out there, and it's going to be even better than that. Can you
Mm.
imagine? And
Mm.
so just like setting your sights on, well, how good could it be?
Yeah.
So that really got me through a lot of pain in previous heartbreaks, and then also love and our hearts are, it's a muscle, and so the if we love fully, if we go into a relationship and put our hearts on the line, loving that person with all we've got, and it doesn't work out, like all that love you gave is communicating to the universe how much love you have to give and how much you're capable of receiving. And you just expanded, you just had this like heart opening, heart expansion. And so it's building muscle, to go to the gym, you have to break down the muscle and get sore and it's painful, but you're building it. And so, like, just loving freely with abandon, to me, some people might think this is what's the word, reckless.
Yeah.
but but I look back at my relationships and I just put my heart on the line, and I feel like I was rewarded for that.
Mm.
I think if we withhold love from someone because we're afraid of getting hurt, then we're closing off the door for us to receive that much love.
Mm. So beautiful. I love that. I love that. And, you guys have since it's continuing on with your beautiful, magnificent love story, which is very inspiring. But I love the pieces that you shared there around it, it being bigger than us, but also around that twin flame. Because I think, that gets thrown around. Those words get thrown around a lot. And this piece on really looking at how good am I willing to allow it to be? What am I willing to allow in? And it comes back to that receptivity as well. And I feel like we can all approach this and look at this in our own relationships, not even just in the love matches, but the relationships that we have in our family and the relationships that we have in friends. And to really, so much of the time, we stay in relationships because we think that we need to or we should. And to really check in and look at what we're receiving and how it's filling us up is such a big self love piece in all of this as well. Do you feel
Yeah,
that too? Like this extends in beyond the love relationships?
for sure. And you also just made me think about how I have a line in my book that says, everything that happens to us is an opportunity for us to love ourselves more.
Mm.
And so even in your relationships, your marriages, if let's say something comes up that tries to divide you, or you're like, whoa, this is a conflict, how can this be an opportunity for you to love yourself more? And that might be by communicating, like, I'm not going to tolerate being treated like that. Don't ever talk to me like that again.
Mhm.
And if that is something that causes the relationship to break, then it's not meant to be.
Mm.
But if that relationship is meant to be, that is going to help you, that's going to help you grow, that's going to help you get stronger as a unit, as a couple. So don't be afraid of conflict either, because it's ultimately just an opportunity to for you to be like, how deeply can I love myself here,
I love that. I love that.
and take action from that place.
Yeah. And if you're not going to find it, if you're not able to do that in that relationship and you move on to another, then you're going to be presented with that similar level of conflict for you to get in and expand your capacity to be vulnerable or to share from your heart or to, speak courageously in the way that you need to. So that's beautiful. Um, what do you hope with this book that you've written? what do you hope that people can really take away from it? And, what's been your vision? I mean, because can you speak a little bit about it? It's like a 5-step process.
Yeah, it's a 5-step workbook, so it's interactive. It's everything that I feel like I did in my life that helped me attract this kind of partnership. And so it helps you get really clear on what it is that you want and desire and want to call in. It also helps you release things. There's ceremonies, there's meditations, there's exercises, release things that do not serve you anymore. There's ways to um, practice becoming the most loving version of yourself. And
Mm.
there's I think that the overall purpose, or what I hope people get out of the book, is that once they finish this book, they really feel like they are this walking, talking, living, breathing being of love, feeling so much more whole and full, not necessarily needing the love of their life to show up to prove to them that they're worthy, but they feel worthy and valuable within themselves. And that is what makes them the person show up in their lives.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd imagine not just the person, but in all areas, right? Coming back to that place of love and worth is going to be beneficial in creating all different levels of magic in your life. So I think that that's so beautiful. And you have another book that you're working on at the moment. Can you share a bit about that?
I do, yeah. So my second book, I don't have a title yet, but it's going to be about conscious conception. And so I went through a very interesting journey to parenthood. I wasn't even sure if I wanted children, and that didn't even come up until 7 years into our marriage. And it was like, are you serious? Like, what? Because
Mm.
for my husband, it was a dream of his to become a father. And then, to hear his cosmic love partner say, I don't know if I want that or not, it was devastating. But what I ended up reflecting on and realizing is that I had a lot of blockages and trauma and just junk that was holding me back from being open to that. And so it was real more like self-healing work to do, and um, childhood healing to do, to break down the wall enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna take this step or this leap. But we went about it in a really unique way. Had I had started 3 years before we had our first child, creating a list that I called my youthful freedom list. Because I'm an Aquarius. My freedom is very important to me. And
Yeah.
so I wrote down all the things I wanted to do and experience and achieve before starting a family. All right, I didn't achieve everything on this list, but it was helpful to go through and be like, okay, I'm going to make sure this happens and make sure that happens. And the year that we decided to have a baby, I went back to my list and I was like, okay, if there's only one thing I can do this year before having a baby, what is it? And for me, it was swim with whales. Whales are one of
Wow.
my spirit animals, and I believe that they're the most consciously evolved beings on our entire planet. And so I said to my husband, I was like, if we're going to make a baby, we have to swim with whales. And I'd also always had this vision of like, whenever we do make a baby, I want to go somewhere special. I want to make it a ceremony. I want it to be this like big thing. And so we did that. We flew to French Polynesia and we spent 2 weeks just really connecting with each other and with the culture and the land, and creating these ceremonies around calling in a soul that, yes, wants to join our family, but also wants to make the world a better place, kind of like your world peace partner, like your world peace family. We want to, the earth is overpopulated and resources are dwindling. We don't really need more beings on the planet. But, and what's interesting about whales is that they will consciously reduce procreation when they feel like their environment can't handle the population.
Mm.
Such deep wisdom and intelligence that people haven't quite caught on to yet. But I digress.
I love
But
whales too.
oh,
We
good.
can see whales at the moment from our house looking out to the ocean. It's whale season, and I got my first glimpse of the whales the other day because they're on their way up north to have their babies.
Yes, that's right.
And they
Yeah.
go up the east coast of Australia to birth in the warmer waters, and then they come back, and on their way back, we're digressing here, but this is fun. On their way back, they're a little bit more playful because they've had their babies and they've got their calves with them. So that's when you see them jumping and breaching, a little bit more jumping,
Oh,
breaching.
yes,
So
yes.
I love whales. I get very emotional with whales, and you can actually really I don't know if you've ever tried this, but really tap into their wisdom. They'll speak to you through your soul.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
That's why we're so connected.
I know.
Whale sisters, whalesters.
Yeah, I love it.
So
Probably
yeah,
swam with whales before in another lifetime somewhere, I'm sure.
yes, maybe you were a whale.
Yeah.
I think I was for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we, created this what I call a conscious conception ceremony, and just we're really intentional about it, and we made wishes for this soul and set intentions for their purpose on this planet. And I got pregnant the first try, and it was so beautiful, and I want to share that journey with others, that we can make that. It's such a huge responsibility, and it's such a huge uh, adventure to embark on and take on, to become a parent. And so for me, it's been such a big deal that I have to honor it in that way. And I want to encourage other potential or people seeking to become parents themselves, like, to approach it with that deep of intentionality, that this soul you're going to call in is going to contribute to the world, and why not call them in to take on a mission of peace, a mission of justice, a mission of love in the world.
I love that. So beautiful. It's such a good reminder about intention too. Right? Intention is everything in all that we do. And as you were speaking, it reminded me about, this journey that we're on is so less about becoming anything, really. And it's this process of unbecoming and removing the untether from the obstacles that are keeping us from really remembering the truth of who we are, which is
Yeah.
that love and that wholeness. And I just reflecting on that as you're speaking, it really feels like such a beautiful message from this conversation, is that we already have all that. And it's this journey on, like, the roads that we take, that we go down, so that we, as we forget, so that we can come back to this place of remembering and then become aware of the things that aren't us anymore. And yeah, and I just think that having that intention to bring through a soul that is here to make a difference. And I'm sure she is. Your daughter is just such a little radiant sunbeam. I've seen pictures of her. She's like divine,
Truly,
divinity incarnate.
truly, yeah. She's definitely of another, I don't know, another breed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She comes from Wales and the stars.
Yes.
I love this. I love this conversation so much, Sierra. How do people connect to you if they want to be in your world? I know you're not really on Instagram anymore. Like, where are you at these days?
Yeah, I recently decided to take a reprieve from social media because I could just feel every time I went on there that it would pull me outside of myself. And my inner wisdom was telling me to retreat into the sanctuary of my own heart and mind. And I would leave that sanctuary every time I went on social media, and I'd start to see things that I didn't ask to see. And I'd get distracted by things, and I'd see what other people are doing and start to compare myself. And I felt like I would take 2 steps forward in my own spiritual journey and then 1 step back. And every time that I had this thing in my life, and so I was like, you know what? This is an act of self-care, and I'm gonna let it go and say goodbye. So people can find me at my website, which is Sierra Mercier, which is French, MERCIER.com. And my book, How to Attract Your Cosmic Love Partner, is available on Amazon. And I have a monthly newsletter and a weekly, what I call a Monday mountain musing, because my name Sierra means mountain. And I share a little tidbit of wisdom every Monday. So if you want to stay connected to my offerings and my wisdom, you can find that through my website. Email me and I can put you on the list. Yeah. If you really want to connect, you can find me.
Yeah.
And I'm
I'll
happy
put all
to
this
connect.
in the show notes too.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll put all the details. I'll put the link to the book in the show notes. So check that out if you're wanting to purchase that, which sounds amazing. And I will keep an eye out for your upcoming book, which is super exciting. How cool. It's really cool. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to finally have this conversation. You are just a ray of light and the most beautiful being. And I can feel your love coming through the airwaves. I hope everybody can feel that because it's really powerful. It's really powerful and so much inherent wisdom in there that just wants to come through as you speak from your soul. So I really, really appreciate the time that you've taken to share and be with us.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so happy that I can expand the connection on the other side of the world to Australia, and it feel like we're just neighbors here. But yeah, truly very honored to be a part of your world now. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. And I will I'll hopefully see you in an LA. I'm just putting that out there. There's intention. See you in LA soon.
Hey, perfect.
All right, darling. Thank you so much.
Thank you.